Hey YouTube, my name is Ivan Albrook and welcome back to another Pokemon video. Today, as you can tell by the title and the picture in front of you, I made my first ever Day 2 at a Pokemon Regional Championships and I placed 97th out of 2,691 Masters at the Pittsburgh Regional Championships this past weekend with Raging Bolt. And as for my feelings, oh my god, I feel awesome. I feel so awesome. I had an absolute blast this weekend. It was so much fun. I met so many nice people. I met a lot of great opponents and stuff like that, and I can genuinely say I enjoyed pretty much every second of it. So, before I get into the recap, if you like the deck, or if you saw me at Pittsburgh, or anything like that, like the video, comment down below if you saw me or if we talked or anything, and also comment down below if you like my list or if there's things that you would change. And while you're down there, hit that sub button. I like to post fun videos like this of my tournament recaps whenever I can, and yeah, it also helps. So all right, so I will say, going into this tournament, my mindset was, okay, this format isn't my favorite format, so I'm just gonna play something that I can just, play easily, have enough mental capacity to keep going throughout the day, and something that wasn't too complicated to play. So I decided to play Bolt. I thought it was a decent meta call. Joltik was getting popular, Dingo was getting popular. I didn't realize Guardy was going to be the top lane deck in the room, but nonetheless, I didn't just play against Guardy. I played against other stuff too, but I felt like it had a good positive matchup spread, and I felt like I could beat pretty much everything that wasn't Guardy, and like controlled decks, I guess. So yeah, I thought, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go in with my head held high. I'm gonna come up with a list that I think can tackle any deck, and just play to the best of my abilities. So as you can tell, I've got the deck list out. This is the 60 cards I played. So we have 3 Teal Mask, 2 Raging Bolt EX, 1 Baby Raging Bolt. Now, some people were debating on whether or not the Owl version of Bolt was better or the Turbo version. I think the Owl version's better just because you can tackle so many situations with the Knocked Owls. It helps you get around certain problems that Raging Bolt faces against a lot of matchups, like a Jellicent or even Item Lock. You can find ways to get around that, like with Crispin, or finding any other card that could counter any kind of situation. So the Knocked Owl build, I think, was the superior build in my opinion, although the Turbo build is pretty cool. I think the Knocked Owl build is just so much better. So we got 3 Hoohoots, 3 Knocked Owls, 2 Fan Rotoms, and 1 Ditto. So pretty typical. I saw some people playing like an 80 HP Hoohoot. I didn't think I was going to hit a lot of Polt, which I didn't. I only hit 1 Polt throughout the entire tournament, so that didn't really come up. And the Ditto was really good. I used Ditto like every other game, I'd say. So I'd say the Ditto was a worthy inclusion. Going on to the other Pokemon, we have a Iron Bundle and a Slitherwing. I'll get back to the Iron Bundle in a sec. A Mew EX, Latios, Fez, and Blood Moon Ursaluna. Okay, so the bundle was like, it was a card I wanted in the deck really bad, because I felt like if we were gonna see Guardy, we'd see the Jelly Guardy, and I think, if I hit EVs or something, or if I hit Terrabox, they can Crown Opal lock me. Bundle's just a nice, easy way to get around all of that. If Guardy has an Artisan down, obviously you can't play items or tools while Jellicent's in the active. So you just use your Artisan to get the Iron Bundle, use the bundle, and then you can just play whatever card you want. So the Iron Bundle plays around stuff like that. Mew EX was actually like the card I swapped in last minute. I was playing 3 Night Stretchers, and I decided, you know, it was worthy enough to try out Mew, in my opinion. And I will say Mew did pull its weight this weekend. I used its ability quite a bit. I never attacked with it, but it pulled its weight for sure. So the Pokemon were absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change anything. No Squawk ability. I don't like that card in this deck, especially because Bolt is kind of, if you're playing the Owl version, in my opinion, I think if you play Squawk, it's not a good idea. I just don't really like the synergy between Squawk and the Owls that much, so that's why I don't play Squawk. For the trainer cards, we have 2 Area Zeros and a Jamming Tower, as you can see down here. Pretty typical. I don't play this Shampao, so I feel like Jamming Tower should have been the 3rd stadium, and Jamming Tower came in handy multiple times this weekend. So it was very good. Obviously you have your 4 Sods of Vitality. I play 2 Boss's Orders because I don't like the Jellicent matchup. And you know, not a lot of people expect me to have 4 possible Gusts in the deck, including Iron Bundle. So I think the second boss catches some people off guard sometimes, along with the Iron Bundle. So I mean, I liked having boss. I didn't like playing Palpad. I felt like if I prized a boss, it's fine because I have 2 other Gusts available to me. So I really like the 2 boss. Judge, it was fine. I only used it a couple times. Crispin, 1 of Crispin was perfect. I did not need any more of that. And Turo was also fine. I used it a couple times to pick up a Noctowl and put it back down. But it wasn't super necessary. I'd say that was probably, that or Iron Bundle were like the 60th card of the deck. But I did like Turo in testing, so it was really good. For the items, we have 4 Ultra Balls, 4 Nest Balls, pretty standard, 3 Vessels, 2 Night Stretchers, an E-Switch, an E-Retrieval, and a Prime Catcher. Pretty standard items for Bolt. And then 5 Grass, 3 Fighting, and 3 Lightning. So pretty cookie cutter Raging Bolt list with a couple of tech inclusions. I really like the bundle, and since I'm not playing Shampao, I think the Jamming Tower is necessary. And the Turo is also really good. So that was my list. I finished 97th. I wasn't the highest placing Raging Bolt, but I was, you know, I was amongst, you know, the higher placing ones in day number 2. So I feel like my list is, you know, worthy. So yeah, so without further ado, we're gonna get into the matchups. Also, if you're wondering, I am a little bit under the weather. The change in the weather really screws me over this time of year. Going from summer to fall is really bad for my body for some reason. Like, I always get congested around this time of year. So this entire weekend I was congested, and I wasn't feeling great. I wasn't sick. I will say that. I wasn't sick. I didn't have a cold or the flu or anything. It was just my allergies, because I felt that way the day before I left for Pittsburgh. So it's allergy season, and this always happens to me. It usually lasts like 4 or 5 days, and then it goes away. All right. Going into my matchups. Also, I have a Limitless page now, which is pretty cool. So yeah, my final record was 9 wins, 3 losses, and 2 ties. My day 1 was really good. I felt so good with the deck on day 1. I felt like I genuinely could not lose to anything. I know I lost to Crustle here, but if I didn't hit Crustle, if it were any other deck, I feel like I could have won. Maybe if it wasn't Guardy, but yeah. So I'm gonna go through the matchups one by one. So round 1, obviously, if you heard, round 1 was supposed to start at 8:30 in the morning, but the line literally wrapped around the building, and yeah, it took a while to resolve. So that was probably the worst part about the tournament. It started late, but I will say The staff handled it correctly. They did what they could. And honestly, like, it didn't really matter to me. It gave me time to wake up. I'm not really much of a morning person. I'm more of a late morning person, like a 9 to 12 kind of guy, instead of like a 6 to 9 kind of guy, if that kind of makes sense in a way. So I didn't mind taking that time to just like sit there, wake up, get in the zone, get in the mental, into a good mental. And I will say, I think that long delay actually kind of helped me, because going in, I was kind of cranky and tired. I didn't really like sleep the best. So I felt like that kind of just, like I said, helped me wake up a little bit. So my opponent showed up at about 8:55, and then we waited about 20 minutes to start. And he flips over a Joltik. So I'm thinking, okay, so it's Joltik, and it's a good matchup. And then he puts down a Gimme Goal, and I thought, oh, even better, because Joltik Goldengo is probably this deck's best matchup at the moment, in my opinion. You absolutely destroy them. There's really nothing they can do. They have to spend their first turn Jolting Charge. They can't attack or anything like that. And you go first and you set up your Baby Bolt. You just start sniping the board, and they're forced to take single prizes. So, fortunately, I was able to 2-0 him. Pretty cookie cutter games, like I said. I mean, Bolt just has the advantage against the deck. It was a 2-0. Brendan was a very nice guy, also, I should mention. And honestly, all of my opponents were really nice. So, shout out to all of them. Round 2, I play against Travis, and he's on Dragapult Dust Noir. Going into this tournament, I felt like Pult Noir was a 50-50 at best. I felt like they have the slight edge just because of the Dusclopses and the Noirs. But genuinely speaking, from my experience, it takes a lot for Dust Noir to really board wipe you. They have to find a lot of pieces, and if you judge them at the right time, it kind of screws them over. If you go Judge plus Baby Bolt snipe a Dracloak on the same turn, I feel like it's really strong. Game 1 of this set, I think my opponent misplayed a little bit. He used Dust Noir and put 13 damage counters on my Ogre Pawn, and then he Phantom Dived and put the 6 counters on the Ogre Pawn, so the Ogre Pawn had 190. And I feel like he should have put it on the Bolt instead. That way he could pop a Dusclops and then just kill with Ursaluna the next turn to win the game. But fortunately, I was able to take out his Pult, and he didn't have another Pult set up, and I was able to win game 1. Game number 2, Baby Bolt kind of just controlled the board, and I won 2 wins to nothing. And going into round 3, I hit Samantha. She was very nice, and she was on Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is typically favorable, but if played right, the Grimmsnarl player can most definitely win some games against you. Game 1, I won by taking out the Grimmsnarl. It came down to a top deck of an energy, and I was able to knock out the Grimmsnarl. She later revealed to me that she had Ursaluna and an energy in hand to win the game the following, or the turn before, but she misplayed and didn't really tune into it until it was too late. And then game 2, I kind of just controlled the board with Baby Bolt again, and we traded KOs back and forth, and I ended up just winning the game off of killing her last Grimmsnarl. So I won that one 2-0, and at this point, I'm feeling super confident. I was 6-0 in games, and feels really good. Usually the first 3 rounds are, they seem a little easier than the following round, but it's not always true for some people. Honestly, like, Samantha gave me a really good run for my money both games, and honestly, so did Travis. Brendan also did his best. It's not a great matchup, but nonetheless, I was 6-0 in games going into round 4. Then I hit Ryan Rumble, who was on Crustle. Now, going into this matchup, I thought, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's definitely a winnable matchup. It's definitely not favored, but it's definitely winnable. So I play my turn out, set up my baby bolt, gets a Crustle, and I attack. Then he puts down a baby Oricorio, and the baby Oricorio reads, once during your turn, you can heal 20 damage from your active Pokemon. Now, the baby bolt's first attack does 30 for every energy attached to it. I wasn't doing that. I was doing the second attack, Dragon Headbutt, for 130. Now, Crustle with a Luxurious Cape has 250 health. So if you think about it, 2 Dragon Headbutts knock out the Crustle. Problem is, the Oricorio healed 20. So I practically did 110 with the Dragon Headbutt, and another Dragon Headbutt was not going to be able to knock it out. So that was a problem. And I should have prioritized killing the Oricorio over and over and over again, instead of hitting into the Crustle. And yeah, I feel like I could have had a better opportunity to win if I read into that a little more. I was just afraid that he was just going to infinitely be able to recycle it in some sort of way. But anyways, I ended up losing 2 games to nothing to Ryan. Very well played and really nice opponent, but unfortunate that I was not able to, play to the best of my abilities that matchup. I didn't have a ton of experience in that matchup, obviously. Crustle is not a very common deck, so yeah, shout out to Ryan, very nice guy, and congrats to him on also making day 2. He actually finished above me because he had 1 more point than me, so shout out to him. Round number 5, I'm 3-1, and I hit Giovanni, also playing Raging Bolt. He was very nice as well, and the Bolt Mirror is pretty much whoever takes the first 2 prize cards wins, and that's pretty much what I did both games. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really remember all the details. It was kind of just, just take the first 2 prizes and you win. Now, round number 6. Going into this round, I'm like, okay, I'm 4-1. 1 more win, and I should be locked in for day 2 if I can ID or win another one. So, Kelvin, he's from the western side of Canada. Shout out to him. Very nice opponent. Our set lasted not very long, and I'll explain why. So he flipped over a Gimme Ghoul, and I went first. I set up my Baby Bolt a little bit with an energy, and I had 2 Hoots and an Ogre Pawn into my hand. He used Buddy Poffin for 2 Gimme Ghouls, and he passes. Then I go, okay, I'll just Sada, and then I'll attach return, and then I'll kill one of the Gimme Ghouls. I take a prize card, he draws for his turn, and he says, yeah, that's gonna happen, this is gonna happen, yeah, we'll go next game. Like, okay, cool. So I was under the impression that I was playing against Pure Dango, like I, thought against Brendan. And then he flips over Joltik game 2. I'm thinking, okay, alright, I'll go first again. I set a Bolt with an energy, did the exact same thing game 1. He draws for turn, looks at his hand, and he Turos his Joltik. So I thought to myself, no way. Like, there's no way you just Turoed your Joltik. Like, there's no way. He showed me his hand, it was completely dead, no playable cards, no nothing. And he practically just gave me the win with that. So I was 5-1. So I was I was really happy that I won that one. And I told him and I promised him, do not worry, you are going to make day 2. And if you look at his record, he played enough games, he made day 2. So shout out to Kelvin, he's a real one. And yeah, so I was 5-1 going into round number 7. And also shout out to James Blasiak from one of my last videos. One of the 2 I interviewed. He also made his first day 2. And then Sebastian Alloway made his first day 2 as a master. So shout out to those guys. I might get them on a video coming up soon where we all discuss our day 2s. But anyways, I go into round 7 and I show up and my opponent says, hey, I'm under the impression that if we ID, we make day 2. Do you want to ID? And I said, absolutely. So me and Tyler ended up IDing. if I were to play against Tyler, he would have been playing the Charizard Noctowl deck with the Wellspring Ogerpon and all that stuff. And I'm kind of glad I didn't play against that because I have no experience against that deck, so I feel like I dodged a bullet with that one. But shout out to Tyler for IDing. You're a real one. And going into round 8, Sebastian said that he's 5-1-1. He is locked for day 2. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. I'm like, hey, I'm 5-1-1 as well. What if we hit? 2 minutes later, we look at pairings, and it says me versus Sebastian. So that was a funny moment. And he's like, oh, you're kidding me, and you're on Bolt, right? So, as you can tell from the match result, I did win this one. It did go to 3 games, though. Sebastian took game 1 off me. He played it very well, and he kind of just, he did the Grimmsnarl thing. He took a bunch of knockouts, 2 turns in a row, pretty much. Then game 2, I just did the Bolt thing. I, knocked out his Grimmsnarls with Ogerpons and Bolts and all that stuff. So we tied it up, and then game 3, I went first, got a baby Bolt in the active with an energy, and, set up a couple Hoot Hoots. And then he had a little bit of a slower start. He was only able to TM Evo one of his Impidimps. So what I did was I killed the Morgrim on the bench. He wasn't able to find a Grimmsnarl, so what I ended up doing was I bossed his Frostlass, and I just started sniping his Impidimp pieces over and over until it was just his Frostlass left on board, and then I took the win in game number 3 against Sebastian. But hey, shout out to Sebastian, first day 2 as a master, in his first regional as a master, so big shout out to Sebastian. So after the phase 1, I was 6-1-1. I felt really good. Felt super confident. I thought, okay, I have to win like 4 or 5 of the next 6 rounds, and I could top cut or make cash. So I was like, okay, kind of mentally reset. You can hit anything. I'm like, this is where I'm gonna hit Guardies. And then we ended up playing the first round of phase 2 on the Saturday, right after round 8. So, quote unquote, round 9/round 1 of phase 2. I hit Ben Cryer on Gardevoir Jellicent. Obviously, as I stated earlier, not a great matchup for Bolt. The Iron Bundle did come in a little bit in one of the games, so I'm happy that it actually gave me a chance to play the game against Ben. But the first game, I was not able to play the game. I had a bricky hand, unfortunately. Game 2 was when the bundle came in. I was able to make it a little close. I took a few prize cards, but obviously it's not a great matchup for Bolt, and Ben ultimately took it 2-0, so shout out to Ben for that. And then that was it for the Saturday. Going into Sunday, I said to myself, okay, I just want to go positive today. I don't care about my final record. I don't care about my final placement. I just want to go positive. Round 10, I hit a fellow Canadian, Hassan, and he's from the Toronto area, and he was on Joltik. My opening hand, all 3 of our games was absolutely atrocious, and he ultimately took it in 3 games. It's not typical for Joltik to be Bolt like that, but when you brick, anything can happen. So shout out to Hassan, his first regional apparently, and he made his first day 2, so shout out to him. Very nice guy. Round 11, I hit Danny, and he was on Joltik, and I thought to myself, okay, this is great. Another Joltik. He started out with a Pheasantipity, and on his, so I set up a baby Bolt with an energy, did the typical Bolt start, and he, excuse me, sorry. He attached an air balloon to his his Fez, and he retreated into Pikachu, and he passed. No energies, no nothing. So I said, okay, time to pivot to Slitherwing. So I ended up getting a Slitherwing out, retreated with Latios, and then I ended up knocking out the Pikachu with Slitherwing, and he was not able to draw out the Fez, so he scooped. Game 2 is kind of the same thing. I ended up prime catchering his Pikachu with Slitherwing, and he was just not able to draw cards, and I was just able to take the knockout and kind of just, just take care of business with the Slitherwing. That's what I played it for. This exact matchup, the Joltik matchup. So, one win on the board for phase 2. So I'm 1-2 currently in phase 2. Round 12, I hit a Maxime from Quebec, and he was a very nice guy. He was playing the Turbo Raging Bolt, so no owls. He played the Squawk abilities, he played the Ogre Pawns, played the Baby Bolts, and all that kind of stuff. So he had a very, very interesting build. As you can tell, we tied. So he won the first game. I had a very, very slow start. And he was able to just take care of business. Game 2, he had a Bolt with a booster capsule, a Baby Bolt with a booster capsule, 2 Charmed Ogre Pawns, and his active Raging Bolt had a Legacy Energy. He had Lively Stadium on the board. So I thought to myself, okay, my only hope here is to go Ursaluna boss, kill the feds. Drew for turn, drew the boss, put Ursaluna down, attached, boss. So I got around the Legacy Energy Bolt and I won game 2. Game 3, we only had about 7 minutes or so left. And I said, we can definitely try to finish this. Here's the thing, he played Iono, and I thought, okay, he's playing one Iono. On my second last turn, he Iono'd me to 2 with a second Iono. So I thought, wow, this is not good. I'm sorry, that was his turn. He was turn 0 going into time, and my turn 1, I couldn't do anything. We were tied on prize cards. We ended ultimately just tying. I could have made the argument that I was gonna win with my previous hand. I had 3 Sadas in my hand. So yeah, Maxime, shout out to you. Really cool build of Raging Bolt. And it definitely made me think. So shout out to you. Round 13, going into this one, I thought, okay, I have to win the last 2 to get top 128. And I played against Richard Yano on Gardevoir. But it wasn't just Gardevoir. It was Gardevoir with the Baby Enamorus. And the Baby Enamorus reads, it's 3 energies, and it does 80 damage. If your opponent has a Pokemon with the same type as your Pokemon, this attack does 120 more damage. So he's playing all Psychic Pokemon. Let's say I have a Mew or a Latios. The Enamorus would do 120 more damage, so it'd do 200 damage. And with the Clefairy's Fairy Zone ability, it would knock out my Raging Bolts in one hit. And that's kind of what he did in the second game. He used Enamorus to take out my Bolts, but he also played the Baby Genesect. So he played Defiance Man and 2 Bravery Charms, I think. And yeah, the Baby Genesect put me on lock in the first game. It was really hard. I ended up winning the first game, but it was a very, very hard game to win without the Prime Catcher at my disposal. So I won game 1. Game number 2, he did the Guardy thing, used the Enamorus, and he Screamtailed a bunch of stuff. He played very, very well in that second game. Game 3 came down to the wire, and going into the game, we agreed that we'd have to go based off of our hands and our board state. So we actually went into time, and I had 2 prize cards left, and he went down to 2 prize cards. So my out was, I needed an energy for my Raging Bolt, and I needed a boss's orders. I had the energy in hand, so I just had to draw boss's orders. I had a Sawdust, a Retrieval, a Night Stretcher, and a Fighting Energy in my hand. And he didn't take a knockout, so I couldn't draw with my Fez. So in order to win off board state, I thought, okay, I have to get this Fez off the board. I also have to be able to boss. So I used Jewel Seeker. Or no, not Jewel Seeker. I'm so sorry. I used Teal Dance. After I used Energy Retrieval to get 2 grasses, I drew Jamming Tower. I played the Jamming Tower down, get rid of my Fez. And I had 2 other ogre pawns on the field. So I used Teal Dance one more time, drew a grass energy. I'm like, okay, this has to be it. Teal Dance for another card, and it was the boss's orders, the boss the Guardy win the set in time. And that was an insane match between Richard and I. Shout out to him. Very well played on your part. I got very lucky. Top deck the boss to win. Whew. That was definitely my most intense match of the weekend, in my opinion. Very well played by Richard. And then round number 14, I play against Sean. Very nice guy. I ended up 2-0ing him. The first game, he had a board state of 2 Guardies, Monkey Dory with no Dark, and a Mew EX with a Bravery Charm. And I had a Baby Raging Bolt in the active, and I had a Fez on the bench, a Hoot on the bench, and, you know, a couple Teal Masks and Knocked Owls. And he goes, this probably isn't the right play, but I'm going to do it anyway. He attached 6 Psychic Energies to copy Thunderburst Storm to snipe my Fez and knock it out. So I thought to myself, all right then. So he knocked out my Fez. And what I noticed was he had no Psychic Energies in the discard. So what I did was I used Boss's Orders on his Gardevoir, and I just started sniping. I just started adding damage on the Gardevoir and just pummeling it over and over and over again. He used Earthen Vessel to get 2 Dark Energies. He attached one to his active Gardevoir and passed. And then I drew for turn, bossed the other Gardevoir, and then he scooped because he had no other access to his energies. So therefore, I was just going to be able to infinitely snipe his Pokemon and take care of business that way. So I won game 1. Game 2, I had a Baby Bolt set up with 3 energies, a couple Hoots on the board, couple Ogre Pawns on the board, and I took out a Curlia because he used TM Evil, but he only evolved one of his Ralts. So he had a Ralts on the bench, and I think he had a Ralts in the active or a Monkey Dory in the active, I'm pretty sure. And he Ultra Balls away Rare Candy and something else, and I thought, oh, and I go through his discard pile, I'm like, oh, you have that second candy in hand, don't you? And he's like, oh shoot. He discarded the candy he needed to get into Gardevoir. And I thought to myself, wow, I got so lucky right there off of a misplay. So, it happens. I feel bad for Sean, but, you know, it's an honest mistake. And I said to him, it happens to the best of us. Other than that, though, he did play very well despite his mistakes. And he's a really nice opponent, really nice guy too. So that concludes the recap. I ended up 97th place, like I said. I earned a box of Destined Rivals as shown in the picture here. And yeah, I'm so proud of myself. I know it's Raging Bolt, and you know, there's the stigma behind Bolt being like a bot deck or whatever, but you know what? I feel like I made some good solid plays, so I'm very happy with how I played, guys. And yeah, that's pretty much just gonna do it for the recap. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and thank you for all the support I've gotten over the weekend. If you've given me support, it means the world to me that, you know, I was able to do this. It was one of my goals as a Pokemon player, and you know, from here on out, I'm going to shoot for the stars. So thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it. Making my first day 2 was like a dream come true. I felt like I finally proved my worth somewhat, that I'm not terrible at the game, I guess. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Adios.